What is up, everyone? The time has come where I'm going to be ranking not only my Scream 7 predictions for who I think is going to survive, going to be Ghostface, who I think is going to die, all that good stuff, but I'm also going to be ranking the previous 6 Scream movies, the Ghostface Villains or Reveals, and I've also decided to add the cold opens to the previous 6 movies. I thought I'd go ahead and rank them too. And obviously, I should go ahead and say this before we get started that this video will contain spoilers, especially for those of you that are not caught up. Those spoilers would specifically be around the cold opens and obviously the Ghostface villain. So, if any of you haven't are not caught up, if you haven't seen all of the Scream movies and are not caught up, proceed with caution. Absolutely. But if you've seen all of them, you're good. You're good. So, if there's a specific tier list that you guys want to get to, I'm most likely either in the comments of this video or the description, I'm going to put the timestamps. If you want to hear about a certain tier ranking, you can go ahead and get to that specific part of the video. So, let's go ahead and get to the rankings, shall we? Let's start off with the movies, because that'll be the least spoilery of these rankings. So let's start off. Okay, Scream 6. Yeah, we'll go ahead and start with that one. Where I rank that one, I'm going to rank it at number 4. I think there are 2 that are a little bit worse than Scream 6, but there are 3 more that are obviously better. So, yeah, I just like Scream 6 better. Like Sam and Tara are a little bit better, and Chad and Mindy in that movie are significantly better, in my opinion, than Scream 5. So, Scream 6 doesn't quite make it to the top 3. It's just right outside for me. Appropriately that I discussed Scream 5. So, Scream 5 is appropriately going to go in 5th spot. Yeah, I don't like Scream 5 as much as I do Scream 6. And let me just say that I don't hate any of these movies at all. But I just like Scream 6 a little bit better. I like the fact that the Ghostface killers, they bring in the old torn up masks, which I thought that was a cool element. And the fact that they, at least for this one movie, Scream 6, they are in New York City instead of Woodsboro. And Scream 5, I will say, it's like, okay, the kills are pretty gory. Not as gory as number 6, but there's like 1 or 2 that's pretty gory. But it all comes down to a couple of things why I have Scream 5 that low. It's the fact that Sidney Prescott gets sidelined like hell in that movie. I mean, good God. I'm glad I rewatched these movies recently because holy shit, I forgot how sidelined Sidney Prescott in number 5 really was. It's like, wow, you're really going to do that to Sidney Prescott? Okay, whatever. But you know what? I'm glad she's back for Scream 7. So, Scream 5 is going to go in 5th place. Scream 3, this might get a little bit of flack. I don't care. But Scream 3, yeah, it's going to go in the last place. There we go. Yeah, like I said, I don't hate any of these movies, but if there's one Scream movie that I wouldn't just pick out of the random blue to watch out of order, it would be Scream 3. Okay, so the moments with Gale and Dewey are great, and I feel like this might be one of Dewey's better Scream movies, and like just their chemistry and dynamic of Gooey, there we go. That's right. We'll call him Gooey. Dale. No, you know what? I like Gooey better instead of Dale. Yeah, so Dewey and Gale, like when they are on screen, they are probably one of the best parts of Scream 3, but what holds it back in my opinion, Scream 3 is the lack of violence, man. They neutered it like really bad, and I know that was because a big part of that had to do with Columbine at the time, which is unfortunate, but there are 2 parts, you know, the whole cold open with Cotton Weary, and then that guy that gets thrown over the balcony, Tyson, I believe his name is. Other than those two moments, the violence is very neutered. And I don't know, I just can't put Scream 3 above 5 and 6. So yeah, Scream 3 is in last place. Let's go ahead and get to Scream 4. Scream 4 is going to go in third place. Yeah, just making it inside my top 3. I like that we return to the gnarly violence that is sorely lacking from Scream 3. And I know people are going to complain, it's got that weird ass filter. Yeah, Scream 4 does have this weird filter. It's like, I don't know, they could have toned it down, or they could have done something differently. I don't know why they went with that weird filter, but yeah, I like that Sydney and Gail and Dewey are a lot more present in this movie, especially Sydney, because she's a little bit sidelined, but at that time, Neve Campbell had other priorities as far as filming. So I could kind of forgive that a little bit, but for the parts that Sydney is in Scream 3, she is a total badass. It's just too bad we don't get much of her in Scream 3, and I just think Scream 4 is a step up, personally, from Scream 6, 5, and 3. So yeah, I got Scream 4 in my top 3. Now this one, let's go with Scream, the original Scream. Okay, y'all were expecting me to put this in first place, aren't y'all? Well, I'm gonna put Scream 1 in second place. Yes, I know Scream 1 kicked off this franchise, and if Scream 1 wasn't as successful as it was, we wouldn't be getting these other movies. Totally understand that, okay? But I feel like, and like I said, I don't hate any of these movies. I enjoy all of them if I'm marathoning the franchise. So, like I said, you're more likely to catch me watching one of these random ones, like, just if I feel like it, rather than Scream 3. Scream 3 for me is the least rewatchable one, in my opinion. But yeah, Scream is the original. It's such a classic. You have that cold open with Drew Barrymore, because at the time, Drew Barrymore was a big Hollywood name, and a lot of people expected her to be the main character, but for her to get killed off in such a gruesome way early on, like, holy shit, that was a shock. Absolutely. And then, you got obviously Sydney and Gail, Dewey, Tatum, Stu, Billy, Randy, and you got the whole plot of, Maureen Prescott, because they brought up, Casey Becker's murder was pretty bad. It was almost as bad as, Maureen Prescott and what happened to her and whatnot, and that gets brought back around. So, yeah, honestly, number 1 and number 2 could absolutely be interchangeable for sure. Now, number 1. Okay. I got Scream 2. I know people might switch that around, and that's fine. But I like the fact that Scream 2 raises the stakes, okay? Like, spoiler alert, because I told you guys there would be spoilers in this video. So when Mrs. Loomis, the mastermind Ghostface killer, kills Randy, see, that ups the stakes. People were pissed off about that, and they were upset that Randy got killed, but I kind of agree with them doing that, because it ups the stakes a little bit. And then the cold open, which I think that might be an appropriate place to go ahead and get to next, as I am talking about cold open. So for me, I just thought that, it was great to see Sydney punch Gail's lights out once again, because she did it in the first one in that alley, talking about Gail's book and all of that. And, Gail says, you feel free to share, Sydney. And she's like, yeah, I'll feel free to share that, all right? And she, wham, knocks the hell out of her in the first one. And then Gail, she tries to ambush her again. And then you have the introduction, well, we were already introduced to Cotton Weary in the first one, but they actually bring him into this one, and they make him a hell of a red herring. Like, he ended up being innocent, right? But they make it where he's a hell of a red herring, where, like, yeah, he was innocent. He didn't kill Maureen Prescott like Sydney believed him to do so, but the possibility was there, like maybe he wants to get revenge on Sidney for sending him to prison for a year. So yeah, so that's my ranking there. Scream 2 in first place, the original Scream in second place, Scream 4 in third place, Scream 6 in fourth place, Scream 5 in fifth place, and Scream 3 in sixth place. Now, talking about cold opens, you know what? Yeah, we're going to skip around. Let's go to the cold opens. So, here we go. We are going to get to Scream 5's cold open first. And I'm just going to rank it in last place. Let me explain why. Okay. So, for those of you that don't know, the majority of these cold opens is meant for somebody to die in a brutal way. Okay? I don't hate any of these cold opens. Let me just make that clear right now. But the point of these cold opens is to have a brutal death to really kick off each movie. And I like how Scream 5 subverted expectations by having Tara not die in the cold open. But, like, come on. For us Scream fans, that's what we want to see, somebody get brutally murdered in the cold open. Am I right? So that's that. I don't think Scream 5's cold open is bad. I don't think none of these are bad. But it's just the fact that she survived, and we get we get the reveal off screen that she survived, and I don't know, it just doesn't, for me, it's not as strong as some of the others. So yeah, I got Scream 5's cold open in last place just simply because she survived. Yeah, it subverted expectations away from what we expected, sure, but I feel like there are better cold opens. Now, let's go to Scream 3's cold open. And I'm going to go ahead and put this one just a step above Scream 5's cold open. The cold open starts with Cotton Weary driving through Hollywood traffic, trying to get home, and, Ghostface calls him, and the Ghostface has the voice changer app and all that stuff. And, obviously Ghostface is looking for Sidney Prescott at this point. And the Ghostface killer, he's thinking that Cotton Weary might know where she's at. And whether or not he knows or not, we never know, because, well, Scream 3's cold open ends with Cotton Weary getting killed. And I just think because somebody in this cold open actually gets killed, I think that is an automatic step up above, because most of these, pretty much whoever's in the cold open aside from Ghostface is going to get killed. And that looks like that's going to be the case for Scream 7, I would imagine, because I'm sure they probably showed the cold open in the trailer for Scream 7 at Stu Macher's house. But yeah. All right, so Scream 3's cold open is in fifth place. Scream 2, this is an interesting one. I'm going to put this one in second place. I love the fact that, Jada Pinkett Smith's character and then her boyfriend's character, golly, I'd know his name in real life, the actor, but I can't think of his name right now. But anyway, both of them, they go to a movie theater and they're going to go watch the first Stab movie. And everybody's all decked out in Ghostface masks and knives and shit. And the studio hands all that stuff out to everybody, right? And so Jada Pinkett Smith's character, she goes to go get some popcorn and a soda. She comes back. Her boyfriend scares the hell out of her. He goes to the bathroom. He ends up getting fucking killed, stabbed through the bathroom stall. And so the Ghostface killer, he puts on his outfit and puts the mask over his face to hide his identity, obviously. And he ends up killing Jada Pinkett Smith. And, I think it's very clever. I think it's very well done. The fact that everybody else is, they're in a public place, and everybody's acting and hooping and hollering all over the damn place. And that gives the Ghostface killer the scary advantage of, nobody's going to think this is real. They're going to think this is just part of the act because everybody else is acting crazy as hell up in here too. So yeah, this is my opportunity to go ahead and kill her, stab her in the stomach a couple of times, and then get the hell out of there. And everybody won't know the wiser till it's already too late. So yeah, like to think that like shit like that can happen in a movie theater, like that's what absolutely like far worse has happened in movie theaters since then. I know this is a movie, but like damn, it's like a really effective cold open. I almost put it in first place, but I didn't quite put it in first place. I feel like there's one that is far creepier that just yeah, that's a little bit more scarier. We will get to it. Scream 4. Okay. Where am I going to put this one at? Now, I'm not going to put it in first place. So it's going to go. I'm going to put it. You know what? I'm going to put it in fourth place. I'm going to put it in fourth place because we have those. Scream 4's cold open is actually the beginning of Stab 6. And then again, the beginning of Stab 7 before we finally get to the real timeline of those two blonde-headed chicks' names that I done already forgot. So we get that one about a Ghostface Facebook Ghostface killer or whatever. That's the first one, and then you have one with Kristen Bell, and then what's that girl? That woman's name from X-Men? I think her name is Rogue, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, we got those two, and Kristen Bell. Like, she's just listening to Rogue go on and on about how the cold opening is always so predictable, and then Kristen Bell stabs her in the stomach, and she's like, while she's coughing up, spitting up blood, she's like, why? Because she's like, you talk too much now, sit back, shut up, and watch the fucking movie. Which, like, I don't know how you guys feel. I don't know how you guys feel about the Scream 4 cold open, but it's certainly unique. So I will give it that. And then we get to the actual timeline of where everything's at in Woodsboro Road because they talk about Sidney Prescott, the two blonde-headed chicks, and we know that this is where the movie is actually beginning. It is definitely unique. I thought about putting it at number 3, but I don't know. Rewatching these movies, I'm glad I did rewatch them because we got Scream 6's cold open. Yes, I'm going to actually put this one in the top 3 because there's a lot that goes on in this cold open. So we have this professor played by Samara Weaving. Well, she's not actually a professor at this college, but she's like an associate. She's kind of like a somebody that is learning to, I guess, become a professor. And anyway, she's out at this bar and she's out on a date, and her date hasn't got there. And it turns out that was a trap to get her into this dark alley because the date says that I can't find the restaurant. I don't see this red sign, or I don't see this red building that you're talking about. And the whole time, the date that she's supposed to be meeting is, she gets lured right into a trap, gets lured into a rat like a trap, right? So the Ghostface killer kills her in the alleyway. And, well, the Ghostface killer reveals himself to be, I can't think of the actor's name, but he was Flash from the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies. So yeah, holy shit, that's something they never did before. We got a Ghostface reveal. Well, it turns out that guy Jason has a partner, Greg, and they were planning on killing Sam and Tara because they are super fans of Richie Kirsch. But then when Jason gets home, he gets a call, and it's from the actual Ghostface of this movie. And the Ghostface, the legitimate Ghostface killer of Scream 6, doesn't like that Jason is cosplaying as Ghostface going around killing somebody. So the Ghostface killer had killed and cut up his buddy Greg and put him in the refrigerator. And so he decides, he's like, I'm going to fuck with him a little bit. I'm going to play a game of warmer, colder, So Jason opens the fridge and finds his buddy in the refrigerator before Ghostface ultimately slays him. So yeah, there's a whole lot. Like, yeah, I almost thought about. I feel like Scream 4 and Scream 6 opening can go. You could reverse them, honestly. So yeah, Scream 6's opening is surprisingly made it to my top 3 because that's like holy shit. Like damn, they never had done that before. Obviously, I got to put Scream 1's cold opening in first place because Drew Barrymore's character, Casey Becker, is at home alone. She's cooking popcorn, getting ready to watch a movie, something that most people would normally do, right? And then she gets a call from Ghostface asking her what's her favorite scary movie. And, he keeps calling back and, he slips up. I mean, he intentionally slips up and, he asks her name or whatever. And she's like, why do you want to know that? Because he says, I want to know who I'm looking at. Like when you hear that shit and you're at home alone, that is going to creep somebody the fuck out. And then he slips and then he says, I want to know who I'm talking to. That's not what he meant, but that's to get fear in her. You know what I mean? And oh man, that cold open is fucking excellent. It is, just the fear of being home alone. And many people are at nighttime home alone and not expecting anything like that to happen. And yeah, that just the fact that that could happen in real life just sends chills down my spine. It should anybody's because that could realistically happen. And I think that is a very effective cold open. And it was so well done. Drew Barrymore and Roger L. Jackson, oh my goodness, they did such a phenomenal job. Abso-freaking-lutely. So yeah, there you go. There's my ranking of the cold opens. Now we are going to get to the Ghostface Villains. So this is where the heavy spoiler is going to come into it. So, like I said, if you are not caught up with these movies, just proceed with caution. Okay, here we go. Ghostface Villains. So as you can see, yeah, I have 7. So here we go. Let's start with who I think is going to be in last place. You know what? Thank God I watched these movies again because I used to have Roman Bridger as the worst Ghostface villain. Nah. I'm sorry, Roman Bridger. I apologize. You are no longer the worst Ghostface. Nah, I used to think that. There are some inconsistencies with Scream 3. Hell, yes, there are. But he is not the worst. I gotta... And what I'm going to do is I'm going to rank the mastermind and the accomplices all in one ranking. So that's how I'm going to do this. So Richie Kirsch and Amber Freeman, yeah, y'all are the worst fucking Ghostface reveals. Yeah. People like to say that Detective Bailey, Ethan Landry, and Quinn Bailey are the worst. Yeah, they're down there, but no, they're not the worst. Like, let's talk about their motive, okay? Let's talk about their motive, okay? They have 2 motives. Richie Kirsch and Amber Freeman, especially Richie Kirsch, idolizes Sam Carpenter's father, Billy Loomis, and so because of that, they want to paint Sam Carpenter as the villain, okay? Just because her father was a psycho killer does not mean she is one. And, that's part of the plot. And then their other part of the plot is toxic fandom. Really? That's why y'all are going around killing people? Because of... Oh my God, I'm sorry. I can't do it. I apologize for all the years that I thought Roman Bridger was the worst reveal. No. He is not the best, but he is far from the worst. Oh God, I apologize to Scott Foley for thinking that your character in Scream 3 was the worst reveal of Ghostface. Yeah, there's inconsistencies that we will talk about, but I'm sorry. I just like the fact that Richie Kirsch and Amber Freeman were the killers, and when it's revealed it's both of them, it's like, oh, it's both of you? Seriously? Like, okay, whatever. Like, can we just get this over with and kill the both of you? Whatever. Like, I hate the fact that Dewey, gets killed by one of the worst, by one of the two worst Ghostface killers. Ah, that fucking sucks. Oh god, it was Amber Freeman that killed Dewey in the hospital, but like Jesus Christ, poor Dewey couldn't even get killed by a better Ghostface killer. Are we serious? I'm so glad that the Radio Silence people are not directing Scream 7. I'm so glad that Kevin Williamson is back in being involved. I know that Scream 7 just by I'm not saying that Scream 7 is going to automatically be one of the best or the best Scream movie, but it's if it's if it's better than Scream 5 and 6, which I wholeheartedly believe it will be, they've done their fucking job. So yeah, they want to make Sam Carpenter out to be the villain, all because of what her father Billy Loomis did. Okay, all those years ago in the first movie. Like, come on, bro. Like that doesn't necessarily mean she's going to turn out to be a killer. But when all these motherfuckers when they fuck with her and try to kill her, is she supposed to lie back and let it happen? Fuck no. You're supposed to defend yourself. Yeah, she kills Richie in a really brutal way, but I mean, they were trying to fucking kill her and make her like the villain that she was, never was, right? I'm sorry, I can't. Ugh, Richie Kirsch and Amber Freeman being the ghost fate. I don't know. They're definitely in last place for me. Now, number 6. This one is going to be a little bit tougher to. You know what? I'll go ahead and put the copy Ghostface killers from Scream 6 in last place. That would be Jason and Greg. Although we don't see Greg in the movie, we do get to see his corpse in the refrigerator. Like I said, Jason was the one that lured Samara Weaving's character into that alleyway, and here's the reason that he killed her. Y'all ready for this one in case y'all don't know? Because Samara Weaving's character gave him a fucking C- on a project or some sort of work during the course of the class or some shit. So just because he got a C- on a project that he worked on, he's like, hey, that's a good reason to kill one of my professors. Oh my god. I almost want to switch the two that I already have ranked, but no. I'm gonna leave them. I'm gonna leave them where they're at. People say that in their opinion that Detective Bailey, Ethan Landry, and Quinn Bailey are the worst. No, I don't think they're the worst because this is how I see it. I think the more simple a Ghostface motive is, the simpler their motives are, the better. Their motivations, I feel like their motivations don't need to be super duper complicated. And I'm sorry, the toxic fandom being a part of their plot, their motive rather, I just think that's fucking stupid. I'm sorry, I just can't do it. Oh god. So yeah, but then what is it? So yeah, Jason, he ends up getting killed by the real Ghostface killer, and then Greg, he ends up getting killed off screen, but shit, he gets his head cut off, all that stuff. So, and the fact that both Jason and Greg, they wanted to kill Sam and Tara because they are super duper fans of Richie Kirsch, and they wanted to finish his movie because that was also part of it. They were wanting to make a movie or whatever. I mean, it kind of gives them a step up, but it is what it is. Alrighty, so number 5. Let me find them. Where are they at? I'm gonna put Detective Bailey, Ethan Landry, and Quinn Bailey at number 5. So their motive is very simple. They want revenge for Richie Kirsch's death. Because they are Richie Kirsch's family. Detective Bailey being his father, and then Ethan and Quinn were Richie's siblings. And part of their motive is, again, they want to do what Richie wanted to do. They want to make Sam Carpenter out to be the villain, because the reason that these Ghostface killers have the torn up masks Detective Bailey has Billy Loomis's mask. Quinn Bailey has Stu Macher's mask, and Ethan Landry has Nancy Loomis's mask. Is all because that's part of the plot. They have Detective Bailey has collected all of the masks from the previous killers. Like for an instance, the first guy that they kill, which is Jason, they leave Richie or Amber's mask at the crime scene, and yeah, when we get the reveal that it's three of them, they have the more worn out, torn up masks. And what they want to do is they want to kill Sam Carpenter, but they want her to put on her father's mask. And obviously they want to get revenge for Sam killing Richie. And when the reveal happens, he says it would really amaze you at what a grieving father can achieve. And right then and there, I was like, oh, they're Richie Kirsch's family, probably. But Sam and Tara, it still didn't click with them. And then when Quinn, she reveals that, you killed our brother, you motherfucker. I'm like, okay, yeah, they are Richie Kirsch's family. Yep, they totally are. So I don't think they're the worst, but they're not making it in the top 3 anytime soon. It's not possible. But I will give Scream 6 for giving us 3 Ghostface killers for the first time. Could Scream 7 repeat that? Only time will tell, right? So number 4. Okay. I'm going to put Roman Bridger at number 4. In Scream 3, who was the director of Stab 3 and half-brother to Sidney Prescott. So there are a couple of inconsistencies with this reveal, okay? Because there's a couple of moments in the movie where there absolutely was going to be 2 Ghostface killers, but for whatever reason, I guess because they wanted to prevent the plot and spoilers from being leaked online at the time, they only changed it to be the one killer. And that one scene where, I want to say her name is Candy, because supposedly Candy goes to meet Roman at the office, and when she gets there, in the background, you hear a noise, like somebody was running for something or making a noise. And that, to me, that kind of signifies that right there in that moment, that's kind of telling you that there are 2 Ghostface killers. One alerting the other Ghostface killer that, hey, our next target is here. Get ready. And then when Sydney goes to Hollywood, she goes and finds the set of Woodsboro. When Ghostface is chasing her all around the house, Stu's house on the set of the movie, there's one moment where Ghostface grabs her and they go tumbling and they both hit a table, right? Or no, the Ghostface hits the table and then she goes in the house and locks the door, and then immediately Ghostface comes from inside the house from a closet. Like, how the fuck is there one Ghostface killer when the one just went through the table trying to kill you and then immediately he emerges from the closet? Make that make sense. No, that was the case of there was supposed to be 2 of you, but it was only one. Doesn't make any fucking sense for Ghostface to be able to move that fucking fast without there being a second one, but whatever. And then another instance is where we have Roman Bridger's death happen off screen because Gail and Dewey, they end up splitting up looking for Roman, Jennifer, Angelina, and Tyson. And Gail, she goes to the basement where Roman and Jennifer were, and she ends up finding Roman's quote-unquote dead body, okay? But the problem is, Scream usually doesn't like to have off-screen deaths, okay? So after that happens, that's when Roman decides to strike and put on the Ghostface robes, like, not far after that. And I understand that they were running, the characters during that portion of the movie were running from Ghostface trying to fight for survival. I got all that, okay? But here's the thing. Gail and Dewey end up back in that same basement. Near one of them, like, Gail didn't have the idea to say, hey, Dewey, let me show you Roman's body. And then if they would have went there, they would have seen that Roman was fucking missing. But that thought never occurs. And then when Angelina, she separates from Gail and Jennifer because Gail finds Jennifer and then they find Angelina and tells them that Ghostface, that Ghostface is the killer is here, that he killed Roman or whatever. And she's like, what? And, she looks all shocked and she's like, I didn't fuck that pig Milton to die with second rate actresses like the two of you. And she runs off and, well, Angelina runs into Ghostface and we get ready to see her be stabbed, but they cut away. And then Ghostface, Gail and Jennifer look down the steps, downstairs to see what that was, that commotion, because they hear her scream. And well, we see blood trickle from her mouth, and we just see Ghostface drag her away. Now, that leaves me to believe that Roman Bridger and Angelina were meant to be a Ghostface duo, because, why else would Ghostface be dragging Angelina away? Say there are some inconsistencies with that, but I will give Roman this. At least Roman, his motive is tied to Maureen Prescott and Sidney Prescott, so just because of that, he is automatically better than the rest of these, just because of that, even with the inconsistencies of that. Okay, number 3. Okay, here we go. This is where it's going to get a little tough. Here. Number 3. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and put Jill Roberts and Charlie Walker in third place. Now, what saves this duo from being, down the list is Jill Roberts. Jill Roberts, man, she is fucking... she is fucking crazy. Absolutely nuts. And her motive is simply jealousy. She's jealous of Sidney Prescott because of all the fucked up shit that happened to Sidney Prescott in her life. And by the way, yeah, Sidney Prescott and Jill Roberts are cousins in the movie. And so her motive is, it's not about killing you, it's about becoming you, because, the world just heard about what happened, but with us, they're gonna see what happened. And, yeah, she's so fucking crazy, dude, to the point where she shoots Trevor, her ex-boyfriend, in the dick before putting him out of his misery. God damn, you need some fucking help. Oh my god. She lets him suffer for a minute before putting him out of his misery. Oh, Jesus Christ. And Charlie Walker, he's pretty much just a Jill Roberts simp. Pretty much. Because she put it in their heads that we get to be the new Sidney and Randy, but her real motive is to become Sidney, to become the sole survivor, and that means even killing Charlie Walker along the way. He just didn't know that. So yeah, she's absolutely crazy. And then after she supposedly kills Sidney, she decides to fuck herself up, stab herself in the shoulder, grab Trevor's hand to rip some hair out of her head, and she decides to smash her face against this picture. And then, yeah, she's got all the cuts and bruises to make it look like she's been attacked, and she was the Ghostface killer that was closest to getting away. Only if she had killed Sidney, and if she would have kept her mouth shut, she might have got away with it, man. And that's why I put her in the top 3. Yeah, sure. And you know what? Let's just forget that Charlie Walker was a Jill Roberts simp for a minute. But he had some of the most brutal kills of the movie. When he killed Olivia, to the point where he was stabbing her over and over. And when Sidney finds Olivia, her guts are spilling out onto the bed. Holy shit. That's one of the first times that they had ever shown guts, hanging out of somebody in Scream, I believe, that they were able to release in theaters, by the way. So, yeah, they belong in the top 3. Absolutely. So, number 2. Damn, this is a hard one because we got Billy Loomis and Stu Macher, who killed Maureen Prescott. Well, I mean, Roman Bridger did help them do that, so. And then we got Mrs. Loomis, who wants revenge for her son's death, and then Mickey, who's an active serial killer before she recruits him. So it's like, damn, like, oh, yeah, I don't know. This might get a little controversial. I don't care. I say controversial shit. I'm not gonna stop saying controversial. I mean, again, it's my opinion. Number two, I'm gonna put Billy Loomis and Stumacher. Yeah, um, just the fact that, okay, they are two of the best Ghostface duos. Some people would put them in number one, and that's absolutely fine. But I'm gonna put them at number two, just because the movie, the first one, they make it kind of obvious that it is probably Billy Loomis, but then he gets locked up in that one part, and then Stu Macher, Ghostface calls her, which we don't know at the time that he had an accomplice, Stu Macher, and says, "It looks like you fingered the wrong guy again. Poor Billy boy doesn't stand a chance with you." So, and obviously their motive is, well, Billy's motive is, Maureen Prescott was fucking around with Billy's father, and that was the reason that Nancy Loomis divorced and left. So, but like, okay, my question is, just because Maureen Prescott didn't want to keep her legs closed, does that mean that that's Sydney's fault? No. Sydney can't help that that was what her mother did. Like, but damn, does that mean she deserved to be killed and raped? No, not necessarily. I mean, but that's what kicked off the whole Ghostface thing. And then Stu's crazy ass. He supposedly his motive is peer pressure. I don't know. I guess if Stu Macher is alive, which I don't. I guess we'll see if he is or not. I still think, until proven otherwise, I think Stu Macher's dead. That, there's plenty of times that the Scream movies have like to fuck with the people that think Stu Macher is still alive. So I don't know. I think they are a vicious duo. But I'm gonna go ahead and put Nancy Loomis and Mickey at number one. Well, I don't know why he's not going up at number one. There we go. Okay, so yeah, number one for me is Mrs. Loomis, or Nancy Loomis, and Mickey. One thing I forgot to mention about Roman, I'm gonna go ahead and mention it. Like, when Roman reveals himself to be the Ghostface killer to Sydney Prescott, she's like looking at Roman like, "Who the fuck are you?" Right? So why I'm bringing that up is because it's true that Nancy Loomis, aka Debbie Salt, and Sydney Prescott don't share any screen time with each other before the reveal, but why that works in Scream 2, unlike Scream 3, is because Sydney Prescott would have instantly recognized Nancy Loomis. That's why Nancy Loomis made sure to never interact with Sydney Prescott, because that would have blown the whole plan right there, right? And she knew that. That's why them two not sharing any screen time before the reveal in Scream 2 works, unlike with Scream 3, where Sydney Prescott and Roman Bridger didn't know each other. I mean, obviously Roman knew Sydney, but Sydney didn't know him before the reveal. And then the fact that Nancy Loomis, her motive is she wants good old-fashioned revenge for Sydney killing Billy, and the fact that she recruited an active serial killer before these killings in Scream 2 started, like, if that doesn't deserve to be at the top of the list, to me, I feel like that does deserve to be at the top of the list, in my opinion, but most people probably wouldn't rank them at number one, and that's fine. I think most people are ranking Billy and Stu at number one because they are a pretty iconic duo, and I get that. But I don't know. I just feel like the fact that Nancy Loomis, she had planned on getting her revenge on Sydney and Gail and Dewey, and she admitted that when Randy got killed, she got a little knife happy. When Randy started talking about Billy Loomis, she said, "Oh, I got a little knife happy," and well, he was talking poorly about my Billy, so yeah, I got a little knife happy and took him off the board. And that was the only person that she had killed. and her plan was to make it look like there was only one Ghostface killer, Mickey, and she was planning on trying to get away with it after she had killed Sydney. Well, I mean, obviously that didn't work out like that because, yeah, Cotton Weary comes in to save the day, and so that's my ranking for all the Ghostface reveals or villains. Now we're going to get to the Scream 7 predictions. And as you can see, I have Survivor, Ghostface, Dead, Red Herring, and AI. Okay, so AI. Let me explain what that is. We're going to go ahead and get that ranking out of the way. So, whoever this Ghostface killer or killers may be, I feel like they are going to be using AI voices, AI videos to fuck with Sydney, Gale, and the other characters. So you might be confused as to, huh? Why is Roman Bridger, Stu Macher, Dewey on here? Well, that's a great question. I'm going to put Dewey Riley. I'm going to put Roman Bridger. And yes, I know people think that Stu Macher is alive. However, I know Matthew Lillard has said, yeah, I'm coming back as Stu. But that doesn't mean Stu Macher's alive. He could be used for AI purposes. And until proven otherwise, I'm going to put Stu Macher in the AI ranking, along with Dewey Riley, Roman Bridger, and Stu Macher. Because I think Dewey, I looked up the cast list, and David Arquette and Scott Foley are in the cast list. And how the hell could that be? Like I said, well, Roman Bridger got shot in the head by Dewey in the third movie. That was one thing I liked about Scream 3, the fact that Dewey finally got to kill a Ghostface killer. I can say I liked that about that movie, right? So, again, I think Dewey is going to be AI. His voice is going to be AI. There might even be an AI video specifically sent to Gale and probably Sydney. And again, Stu, I feel like that's going to be the same case with him for, specifically to target Sydney and Gale. And the same with Roman. I feel like that's more likely going to be there to mess with Sydney. So, until proven otherwise, I feel confident that Stu Macher's not actually alive. We're just going to see him in AI form. We might see an AI video of him. We'll probably, the killer might call Sydney using his voice. So that's what I think. Okay. Now, next up, we have this character in the pink. I believe her character's name is going to be Hannah, if I'm not mistaken. Now, I want y'all to look at what she's wearing, okay? I want y'all to look at the skirt that she's wearing. She's wearing a flannel skirt. And why that's important is because who are other Scream characters that wore flannel? Billy Loomis, Jill Roberts, Charlie Walker, and Richie Kirsch. And what do those characters have in common? They ended up being a Ghostface killer. And this character, Hannah, has a flannel skirt. Now, that could be to throw us off into having us think that she's going to be a Ghostface killer. I think Hannah's going to end up in one of three categories. She could be a red herring, she could be dead, or she could be Ghostface. So I'm going to, again, these predictions, I just want to say, I don't know what's going to be right. I don't know what's going to be wrong. This is just for fun. But as of right now, until we definitively know, I'm going to go ahead and put her in Ghostface. I don't think she'll be the main mastermind, but I think she'll be an accomplice for whatever reason. I don't know. Next up, we have this character right here. I've never seen him in anything before. I think if I was looking up, and I think they said his name was going to be Lucas, if I'm not mistaken. So he could end up. See, he has that kind of like Billy Loomis kind of Stu Macher look about him a little bit, but I don't know if he'll necessarily be Ghostface, but he could end up in one of two categories: red herring or dead. I feel like we're going to need some red herrings, huh? But he could end up very much on the cutting room floor. So I'm going to put. This is a tricky one. I guess I'm going to put him somewhere. I got to put him somewhere because I got to move on, huh? I guess I'll put him. let's put him in red herring, I guess. He could still end up dying. That is very likely, but I feel like we're going to need some red herring characters. Next up, I don't know who this character is supposed to be, but I looked up the cast list, and just by how he's dressed, I imagine he's going to be some sort of reporter for, for a news channel. He might even have a rivalry with Gale Weathers. That could be possible. And there could be a scenario where he's, whenever people are getting killed, he's first on the scene to get the breaking story before anybody else, even before Gale Weathers. That could be a possibility, and that could make him look like a Ghostface accomplice or a hell of a red herring. But I feel like he's not going to be a red herring. I feel like he's just there to actually do his job, and I think he's a goner. I'm gonna put him in dead. I think somehow, probably late in the movie, I think he might end up as a dead man, even though he might look more and more suspicious because he happens to be first on the scene, right? Next up, we have this girl here who I believe is a part of Hannah, and yeah, she is a part of Hannah and Tatum's friend group. And well, I don't think she'll be a Ghostface, but I don't think she's going to be a survivor either. So I'm going to go ahead and put her. If you've seen the trailer, yeah, I think she's dead, because I believe she is in the trailer, crawling away from Ghostface at one point. Yeah, I did see the trailer, so. Okay, this girl, whose name I don't know in the movie, but based off of the trailer, it looks like she's going to be part of the cold open, so that means that's not good news for her, so I'm going to go ahead and put her in dead. I'm going to go ahead and put her in the dead category. Next up, we got this guy here who is the boyfriend of this girl right there, and he could be a hell of a red herring because if you've seen the trailer, he looks way too excited to be staying at the stab at the at Stu Macher's old place. I forget what they called it, but yeah, they have Stu Macher's old house as a B and B or whatever. So he looks way too excited to be there. Could he be a Ghostface? Could he be a red herring? I think he'll either be dead or red herring. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and put him in dead as well. Okay. Next up, we have Mark Evans, who's going to be Sidney Prescott's husband in the movie. And if you've seen the trailer, it's not looking too good for Mark Evans. So they literally show him getting covered and jumped and surprised by Ghostface and stabbed, I assume, in the chest or neck by Ghostface. So, yep, he's a goner. He's absolutely a goner. Now, this guy, I don't know what character he's supposed to be playing. Again, I looked up the cast list and he showed up. I'm just simply I think he's going to be another body to add to the body count. So, I'm just going to put him there because I'm not real sure what character he's going to play or anything like that. Now, this guy here, if I read correctly, he is supposed to be Tatum's boyfriend. So, I feel like he's going to fit in one of two categories. I feel like he could be a hell of a red herring or dead. Could he be Ghostface? I don't want to put too many people in Ghostface, right? I'm going to put I guess I'll put him in dead. But he could still be a red herring, absolutely. Next up, we have... Damn, it won't let me click on it. What the hell? There we go. Next up, we have Anna Camp, who I read is supposed to be Jessica, Sydney's neighbor. But my prediction is, until proven wrong, I think this lady here is gonna... I think she has a... Whoops, damn it, I'm fucking it all up. Okay, anyway, I think she has a fake identity. I think Jessica is her fake identity. I think until proven otherwise, I think this lady right here is Leslie Macher. So, because of that, I could totally be wrong on that. I absolutely could be wrong on that, but based off of that, I'm going to go ahead and put her in Ghostface. Again, there we go. I think Leslie Macher is going to ultimately end up being the mastermind behind it all. And I think her motive would be to, she wants to get revenge on her brother's death. And for those of you that didn't watch Scream 5, Leslie Mocker's son, Vincent, is the first person in that movie to get killed by Ghostface behind the bar when he's taking a piss. And then after that, it's mentioned that Leslie Mocker's son, Vincent, got killed. Now, why would they bring up Leslie Mocker if they're not ever planning on bringing her back into the fold? I mean, it's just a curious thing. Again, and I think she wants to also get revenge on her son's, for her son's death as well. Okay? I think, she tried to get past what happened to her brother, but I think what set her over the edge to try to get revenge, to set this plan in motion to get revenge, is her son dying because of Ghostface. So she's going to want to embrace what her brother was a part of at the start. And so, because if you hear certain dialogue in the trailers, the Ghostface is like, I've been planning this for a long time. So, again, these predictions might totally be all wrong. We'll find out. We will find out relatively soon. So, you know what? Hold on. Okay, this guy, I've read he's supposed to be like a professor or a teacher or something, probably at the high school maybe, and you know what? He's got that kind of look about him where I could see him maybe be a killer. I absolutely could. So I'm not going to put him in dead. I'm going to put him as a red herring because we got to have some red herring characters. Okay, next up, we got Courtney Cox, Gale Weathers. Let me move it up. Wait a minute. Shit. Here we go. Obviously, I don't know, man. I don't see Gale dying, so I'm going to go ahead and put her in Survivor. Yeah, she's the first one to be in Survivor. I don't know. That would be a hell of a way to go ahead and not kick off Scream 7, but I don't know, man. I feel like Gale Weathers, I mean, there's a possibility she could get killed. I mean, it's not impossible, but I just don't, I don't buy it. So I'm going to put Gale in Survivor. Next up, we have Chad Meeks. Now, I definitely don't think he'll be Ghostface. No. But I don't think both of the siblings are going to live. I don't think both of them are going to die either. You know what? Chad has went through hell, and he definitely probably should have died in Scream 6 the way he got stabbed like he did by two Ghostface killers at once. And you know what, Chad, man, you deserve to live because of that, even if it's not realistic at all. I'm going to put Chad in Survivor. I think he will survive. While his sister Mindy, well, you know how I said I don't think both of them are surviving and how I don't think both of them are dying? Well, let's take a look at facts of Scream, okay? Usually the expert in Scream usually bites the dust. Who was the expert in Scream 2? Randy. And what happened to him? He died. Then in Scream 5, who was the expert in Scream 5? Dewey. And what happened to Dewey? He died. So in this case, we know that Mindy is the expert right now as far as rules of surviving a horror movie, right? And based off of that information, it's not looking good for Mindy. I think she's going to bite the dust in this one. I think it could be very likely. And we got two more. We got Sidney Prescott, the Scream Queen. In my opinion, the best final girl of all time. I'm going to go ahead and put her in Survivor. I just don't think that Sidney would come back to be killed off. I don't think Nev would come back just to be killed off. I don't see it, man. If they did that, they would be making a big fucking mistake. They really would. Next up, we have Tatum Evans, who is going to be Sidney Prescott's daughter. And I love how Sidney decided to name her daughter after her best friend Tatum from the first one. Do I think Tatum is going to be gone? Do I think she's going to die? No. I'm gonna put her in Survivor with Gale, Chad, and Sidney. Do I want to change up anything before I end it? You know what? Let me change up something. Hold on. You know what? I do want to change up. I'm gonna be bold and say that we could get 3 Ghostface killers again. I could be absolutely wrong on that, but I'm gonna go ahead and put this guy as a Ghostface, and I want to move him down to red herring. Again, all of this, most of this could be bullshit, but I'm just doing this for fun. So there's my ranking of who I think the survivors are going to be, who I think Ghostface is going to be, and the dead characters. And there could be more dead characters that I just don't have listed. Absolutely. And I think I got at least 2 red herrings because there could be something with the boyfriend. They could make him kind of like a Billy Loomis type of character. Absolutely. And I think Dewey, Roman, and Stu are going to stay right there in AI. So, that does it for all of my rankings. I don't know when I'm going to get this video out. This is going to be a rather long video at this point. But I went on and just went ahead and did all the rankings all in one video. So like I said, I'm going to have timestamps specifically if there's a certain ranking you want to jump to, you'll be able to do that. So I got some editing to do, and feel free to let me know what you think of my rankings of my Scream 7 predictions, the Ghostface killers, the cold opens, the movies, and if you have any other thoughts, feel free to let me know. So I'm going to go ahead and get out of here, and I'll catch you guys later. Bye, guys.